I'm not that.
Hey, what up? It's Tampa Brad, and I'm here with my good friends Gary and Dylan, and we want to talk about what it's like growing up as a super, incredibly shy person, and to some extent, because we all have different levels to which we feel we've overcoming that, and for you, hopefully, this is reaching someone who is shy right now and is growing up as a shy kid. All hope is not lost. You're not fucked forever, even though it might feel that way. But we want to share some stories about our kind of childhood and what it's like growing up super shy for us. And Dylan told me one in the elevator that I loved.
Yeah, so I'm Dylan, and I actually train sales teams. Okay, so I work with entrepreneurs, people who are in high-ticket sales, and in that game, it's tough to put yourself out there, because if you can't figure out how to put yourself out there, you can't make money. Okay, so that was big for me to be able to build my business and to the where it's at now, because if I felt shy, incongruent, I felt a little off, I wouldn't make money. I could see it in my prospects' eyes where they were like, this guy is a little off, right? This guy seems a little weak, meek, right? Just feel not dominant enough. Okay, so in that aspect, obviously didn't start out there. I actually didn't start out selling high ticket services. All I really wanted to do was just get a date. Okay, that was really all it was. I was about 18 years old. I had just dropped out of high school. I was you know what, I'm fed up and I got to figure out how to, just talk to people. Okay, so I remember specifically when I was in high school, there was lunch periods, right? There was first lunch period is I had a couple friends I would sit with. But then one lunch period I was terrified because I had nobody I knew there and I did not want to be seen alone. Because if you ate lunch alone, it's like getting freaking ostracized from society, right? So I was you know what, I can't be seen eating alone. So I would get my lunch and I'd walk to the bathroom and I would eat every single day for about a year. I would eat lunch in the bathroom, okay? At that point, this is literally, I swear to God, I dropped out of high school because of this. I was so terrified of people that I left high school at 16 years old. I just left, okay? And that, that's the point of my story, but we can go into more detail on what I did to get out of that. I started bartending, I started doing sales, I started putting myself out there with exposure therapy. So I don't know if you guys have any experience with exposure, but...
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to let Gary talk for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, for exposure therapy, it's... For me, it was sales, because I grew up super shy. I got made fun of and bullied for liking Pokemon, all that shit. I remember that in 4th grade. I had a show and tell, and it was my first year in public school. I remember I got roasted because I brought only Pokemon, and I was like, look at this one, look at this one. I remember them too. I'm not gonna say it because I sound like a nerd. All right, one of them was Infernape and the other one was Mewtwo.
Yes.
I don't remember the other one. What I did to get out of it, it was kind of inadvertent, but I got into sales right out of high school. I dropped out of college after a semester. I got really bored. And I run my own marketing agency. So what I was doing when I first started was I was doing 300 cold calls a day, which is fucking insane, quite frankly. And I don't recommend it to anyone, but I recommend it for character building and for building up that resistance in sales. Because Brad mentioned it earlier. I was talking to him about something, and I was being persistent, and he was like, "This guy. The one thing about this guy is he's really persistent." Because I'm known in because I work with realtors. I'm known in the realtor space as the guy who will not follow up until you say fuck off or die. I followed up one of my best clients for 54 weeks straight, and I annoyed the living shit out of her. And that was something that definitely helped me with the social anxiety and whatnot. I was terrified to call people. I was terrified to talk to people. Especially to pitch $1,000 worth of shit. I was like, there's no way this is gonna work. But by doing those 300 cold calls a day for 5 months straight, I just kind of got over it. And now I'm at the point where I'm just a conversation about sales or a conversation in general. And then a good thing to recommend for any of you guys watching to get out of it, if you're a little bit more extroverted, or you can be, go and just do something that's a little bit off the wall. What I did was on Halloween, me and Dylan went out to the nicest steakhouse in Tampa, and they had a cage with cage dancers. Cage dancer was on her lunch break or whatever break, it was nighttime, so I guess dinner. And I went in the cage and I took my shirt off and just started dancing in there and just screaming and hollering. And now I'm really cool with the manager.
The funny thing about that is when you're in the prison of your own mind, that if you were to get out of that and express yourself, that you would be not liked for that, right? It's like, okay, something really bad is going to happen. And I was actually just watching a video from actually Julian, and we'll do something with Link and Julian's channel. Julian Blanc is a great self-help coach, but he was just I was watching a video of his about the fact that we're programmed like super early on that if you're doing something that's outside of what's expected of you in a certain situation, you're going to get negative feedback from that. So, what's up? So, if you get that negative feedback early on and you're taught like, oh, okay, I can't be that type of person, then that sticks with you in ways that you wouldn't even think of, and it'll show up way later. Like that'll be showing up in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you don't even realize that that's because, you know, you could have been told like, be quiet little kid in school, or like sit down, shut up, like be a good student, or something crazy like that. There's also another piece to it, to where your caveman brain is told when you're in a group of people, and we're probably like, we're at a pregame right now, and everybody's being quiet so we can shoot a video, and a bunch of people just walked in. Like, I'm sure everybody here probably just got a little jolt of like, oh my gosh, I need to like, I'm making too much of a ruckus. But that programming comes from your caveman brain saying, don't put yourself out there, because if there's someone else in your tribe, right, who doesn't like that, and they come and drop a rock on your head, you're dead and you don't come back from that. Because our brains are obviously wired to keep us out of dangerous situations. So if we think that it's going to be dangerous to turn on the charisma, right? Like to be yourself. And that's all, like all charisma is just fucking being yourself, right? Like, so the most charismatic people I know, when I sit down and think about it, they're not doing anything special. They're just themselves all the time, and they just don't give a shit. Like, another great guy to bring up would be Owen Cook. Like, you were just on a sales training call with Owen Cook. Yeah. And the one thing you said to me is like, he just has no filter. Like, he's completely present to what he's doing. He's not worried about what people are thinking about him, and he's just doing his thing, a lot like we're doing right now. So I wanted to share my story that I was sharing for Dylan and Gary, is that when I was in third grade, actually, so I was in a third grade class, but I was the age of a second grader, because in elementary school I skipped a grade, then I got held back in fifth grade. So I'm net even, so shy that I really had to pee in class, right? And so you know how when you're sitting in class and you have to pee, you got to raise your hand and ask for the hall pass to go to the bathroom, right? And so I was so shy and afraid to interrupt the teacher that I didn't raise my hand, and I sat in my chair and peed my pants in the chair rather than actually ask to get up and go to the bathroom. The 180 flip, right? It's not that you necessarily like come out and be like a stand-up comedian immediately, right? Yeah. But a big win could be you talk to a stranger that you don't know, and it goes well, and they don't hate you, right? So for me, a great one, like my biggest advice on getting into this would be to read the book The Game by Neil Strauss. It's an old book. It's a little bit of a weird book if you read into what he actually like talks about in the books. He talks about like doing magic tricks and shit out in the club to like break the ice with people. You don't necessarily have to do the magic tricks. Personally, actually, this is a funny one for us. I actually did that. I got like invisible rubber band. Yeah, I got invisible rubber bands that I would pull people's straws out of their drinks with. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was the worst. But whatever it takes to get out of your shell and like get you started in momentum is worth it, right? Because like now I feel comfortable to some extent. I still get stifled too. Like I'll have nights where I'm just fucking weird, and Ashley will be like, that my girlfriend's standing right there. She'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're being weird." Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm being weird.
One of the things I've been studying recently is Mushin, and that is basically like a Chinese art form of mind of no mind. And me and him are copycats. We both have it as our lock screens. But basically, the point of it is you allow your brain to stop being itself and start functioning off of instinct. So one of the things that like Dylan knows, like I get super on myself about it, because every time I stop thinking and let myself just function, I always do whatever I need to do. But the moment I start thinking again, the moment I start thinking again, I start self-sabotaging, fumbling, messing up, etc., all that. But a really good, the good point of it is, and Bruce Lee mentioned it as well, is you want your mind to be like water, where water has no form. It takes the form of whatever it's contained in, or whatever it's next to, whatever. Like, we're next to a pool right now. It's in the form of a pool. That's all it is. It's just water. And, the reason why you do that is because you allow yourself and your subconscious to just begin to take over and stop thinking too much. And you just let yourself be. And even though it sounds counterintuitive to stop thinking about this shit, it is the best thing in the world because you you genuinely stop caring. Because no matter what anyone says, it takes a lot of care to be carefree. You can't just go in and just be like, oh my God, I'm just gonna not give a shit. Like, it's super hard. So this is personally my way of doing it.
I know where you're coming from. I know, like, if I'm talking to my past self, right? And if you were me and my past self of like, I was sweating, I couldn't even talk, like I was stifled, I was nervous, I was shaky. If you're that, when you're just terrified of everything, you do have to take it to the level of extreme to where you're weird. You have to be try hard for a while, okay? So I'm very, very big proponent, and like when I see somebody who's try hard, I'm like, good. That's good, because eventually you're gonna land in the perfect sweet spot between,
stretching, right?
They're stretching themselves. So what Owen, what he basically put it as is like, human beings have containers, all right? The level of comfort in which they're allowed to like allow their tonality and their cadence to be flexible. So what you do to increase that ceiling and that floor, like I swear you have to do something weird, like I had Gary do, and this was one of the best nights of our life. We were at one of the nicest restaurants where everyone was stifled because everyone was super wealthy and happy, and like, everyone wanted to like fit this role. He jumped in a cage with his shirt off, and I poured a whole bucket of water on my head in front of everybody. So what happens is, you do like a freak out and you just push the ceiling as high as you can get it, and you're gonna land in a more comfortable level where you can just be more flexible and free flowing. You can talk how you want because you have more room and you're not, condensed as like this stifled person, all right? So that's huge. I always suggest like what we did yoga in the middle of like all these people in the middle of the night. We went and jumped in the cage. We do something kind of weird and crazy, going like scream really loud in front of like a whole bunch of people, gets you out of your head, shakes the rust off to where you can be more free flowing, and it just works. All right, so definitely do that.
And so, kind of to wrap, I think we're probably going to be forced to wrap here because the ceiling of the noise level over here is going up as it should be. We're in the middle of a pregame, so we want to get back to the party. But really, if you're someone who's not dealt with being shy and this isn't making sense to you, that's totally okay. But for those of you, if this is connecting, on a deeper level, I'd encourage, we'll put everybody's Instagram in here. Send us a message and let us know, because I know I personally have gotten messages from people who I've like connected with at seminars or whatever, following up with me, letting me know like how it went like a year, 2 years, 3 years after the fact. And it's fucking awesome. Like that shit is like I'm hoping to get one of those. Like that's why it's worth it to like do this in the middle of a party, is one of those messages. So don't be afraid to stretch. Realize that you have to stretch and be a little weird and make people maybe even uncomfortable. That's okay. It's worth it for your personal growth. Never do anything that's win-lose, but it's worth it to stretch for your own growth. There's a lady over there stretching for our growth. We're going to wrap it at this point. Thank you for watching. If you have not already, hit subscribe to the channel. It does help me a lot. It helps more people to see it, help more people to get this awesome information. Talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching. Peace.